Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from, and welcome back to yet another episode of Unprepared to Entrepreneur, the channel that brings you real, raw, and often untold stories of entrepreneurship. And today we are deep in the raw. I am joined by my old, very good friend Lucy. And I think when we eventually decided to do this, I was so excited. I'm so excited for this conversation, you guys, because I think my experience and hers, every time we catch up on the phone, I can tell we are all in the murky waters trying to sort of figure it out. And Lucy has been an entrepreneur longer than I have, way longer. We met when I was employed. I'll allow her to introduce herself, but I'm really, really excited to have this conversation, and I hope that this conversation between me and Lucy gives you just a little bit more courage. You know, that thing that you've been thinking about, that business idea that you're thinking about and you've been planning for the last 3 years. I hope this gives you just a little bit more courage to go try it out, even if it fails. And the big word here is if, because what if it succeeds? So welcome to another episode. Lucy, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Very well.
Karibu sana. I am so happy to have you.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can make this like a regular. I feel like this will be a nice therapy session.
I know.
I can't wait to get into it.
Know.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing? How have you been? I've not seen you in a long time.
I have been lately very well.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say lately
I'm very well. That's good.
I think you said you are going to be raw and
real
honest
and
about
raw
things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I am very well, but I haven't always been very well. So
I know.
I think we'll get into
that. Please introduce yourself. Tell my audience who you are, what you do before we get into the conversation.
Okay, so my name is Lucy Wanyika. I am an entrepreneur, but aside from being an entrepreneur, I'm also a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
And amongst many other things, I run Janta Kenya. Janta Kenya is a management and HR consultant firm who we help companies hire, manage their team. We help companies build businesses, write strategies for their business, turn around. I think, in fact, for us this year, we are really working on turnaround, and we're even trying to build a manuscript around turning around your business so that we have more successful businesses in the coming future.
Yeah.
So
I met Lucy way back when I was still employed, and our relationship has evolved. I would say.
Yes.
Because you used to be like a service provider to the company I used to work for.
Yeah.
And I have called Lucy maybe in my entrepreneurship journey, maybe like 4 times. I'm like, Lucy, I can't do this anymore. Please find me a job. Please find me a job. And Lucy will be like, is your CV ready? And I'd be like, I have not looked at it in such a long time. Can I update it? And then I send it to you. And somehow I never update. And I never get to send. I have a meeting with myself and I'm like, I can do this. I can do this.
Maybe I can.
And then in another 2 years, Lucy. How has entrepreneurship been for you?
I think the term they say, the phrase I hear a lot nowadays is dust is constant. Entrepreneurship. I think Janta has been in existence. I have run other businesses, but Janta in itself has been in existence for 13 years.
13.
And I don't recall feeling those kind of emotions about anything else. I've never felt heartbreak, like the kind of heartbreak a business can give you. Shock, depression,
Dust is constant.
But it has also given me fulfillment, joy, freedom, and not just financial freedom, but even just freedom to decide how my day is going to look like, freedom to decide what I'm going to pursue, freedom to see how am I going to change other people's lives, you know? Yeah. So it's there's a good side.
Yeah. Well, yes. And we don't want to haribu the rep of, entrepreneurship and say entrepreneurship is all bad.
No, but it's tough.
It's tough.
It's going to be the toughest thing you'll ever do.
I
think that's what people miss out. I think we really have romanticized being your own boss to a point where we're not educating people how bad it can get.
Yeah.
And that if it gets that bad, you can still make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think most of us are always on the brink of giving up.
Mm-hmm.
But it is part of the journey.
Yeah,
it really is.
So when I was preparing for this conversation, and I know I have not introduced the topic, but let's catch up together.
Yeah.
When I was thinking and preparing for this conversation, I was just wondering, how did me and Lucy meet? So I was trying to dig. It's been many years. It's like 2011, 2012, if I'm not wrong. It's a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to remember how we met.
Yeah.
And I can't quite remember the exact moment when we met, but allow me to tell you the memory that comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So we were working late in the evening, and I'm sure it had something to do with interviews, right? Recruitment.
Recruiting, yeah.
And so on our way out, so it was past 5 p.m. and so we are all leaving.
Yeah.
And we had like a designated parking for the guests and the staff members as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, as we get to the car park and we're saying our goodbyes, I say goodbye and then I go into my car and then I see Lucy. I see Lucy getting into her car, and I was just like, wait, biashara ni ngumu. Because I was like, how much? Even the next day, I went, because I used to be the accountant, I went to the system and I'm like, Janta, how much are we paying Janta? Because Lucy is struggling. You used to drive.
You should have called me and told me you're increasing our rates.
Because I was just like, oh my gosh, how hard is this thing? And I remember just wondering, Lucy is the director of this company. This is how much we are paying her. And I don't think, because by the time you got the job, you had pitched and you had other people, other companies that you were offering the service to.
Yeah.
I wondered, I was just like, entrepreneurship, huku siezi enda huku. Hata sijui nilijipata aje funding. Lucy, have you changed your car?
I have since changed my car. I am now driving a German car.
Oh, nice! Oh my gosh, that car.
But I still have it.
You still have it?
I still have it.
Mm-hmm. Tell me the story of that car.
I actually still have even the first laptop I had when
you started out.
Well, of course, it's dead.
Yeah.
But I keep it as a reminder of how far I have come.
Yeah.
And when even things go down, I remember how well I have done, so that I'm always reminded that it's not just the business that collapses. It's you who built it.
It's you who built it.
So if it goes down, you can rebuild it. You're the same person, but you're wiser now.
You're wiser,
so you can rebuild better, isn't it?
That's true. Now I'm looking at it like I was in the corporate side.
Yeah.
Now I'm on this other side, and I must say, I'm sorry, but I really judged. I was just
you were right to judge because
but now that I'm on this other side,
you're like, okay.
I see, unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting out, if you, let's say, walk into a meeting or a pitch and you jabbed, like you took a matatu to that meeting, so you have kidogo dust here and there. Now that I'm on this other side, I judged because I was on the corporate side and I'm wondering, and obviously, because I'm used to spending money that is not mine. You know, like we do budgets and there's a sales department and mine is to write checks. I don't know. I never quite internalized the business and how hard it takes to actually build a business to that point where you have a finance person, carrying out this task.
Yeah.
But now that I'm on this other side, I have been judged.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you are in a position to give better service. Your product is even better, but you are denied the chance to because of how you look or how you're perceived.
Yeah.
Did that ever happen to you with that car?
No.
No?
Because I always packed it very far. I think, but let me just tell you. So earlier on in my career, I worked in sales, and we were really well trained. I worked at my first proper sales job. I worked at Barclays, which is Apsana, and before they would allow you to go to the field, they would train you for 2 weeks, and they would tell you everything: what to say when you enter somebody's office, where to put your bag. What to do, because then you don't have a car. What to do so that you give a good impression. You're supposed to arrive early so that you go to the bathroom and dust yourself off and make sure you're smelling nice and you straighten up and you're looking like you have money. So I think that has always been ingrained in me. Even when I was starting business, I knew I'm not where I want to be, but I already know the perception of my client. And that is true for most businesses, that you unfortunately will have to deal with that kind of judgment. So you need to know, this is where I'm at. But my client doesn't need to know that.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Yes.
If they find your data, that's too late. You're already giving the service.
It was already too late. You're already giving the service.
It's too late. But then before when you're making it's so critical to make the right first impression when you're starting.
Yes.
Because there's so many people who've lost businesses unnecessarily. But that's just how the world works. The world is unfair.
The world is unfair.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh wow. Anyway, we can catch up till dawn. Let me introduce the topic. And hopefully this conversation, if you're in corporate, be kinder, I would say. Would you say?
I would say, be kinder. I think also this applies to I think for me it's insurance salespeople. I think that get the hardest beating because we don't pick their calls. We don't, and we tend to treat them very badly. But remember, they're working for commission only. They don't have a salary. Yeah. So be gentle.
Be gentle, be kind. But also if you're on this other side, the world is rough.
Yeah.
That's the world is rough.
Yeah.
We can't promise you it's gonna be easier, because I don't think so. So we have a really interesting topic today. We are talking about what causes businesses to fail. Interesting topic, because I think there's not a single entrepreneur that I have met who's not had a business that has failed. Even the one you're running has probably failed many times over, and you reimagine it and you pivot and you do whatever you need to do, to give it a new life. And sometimes that fails, and it's like the 9 lives of a cat, kind of thing.
An entrepreneur has another 3.
Another 3 over and above the 9. So have you failed?
Many times. Many times.
Tell us about the one that taught you the toughest lesson.
Wow. There are many. Wow. Let me give you 2. One morning I went to work, and I walked into an empty office.
An empty office.
I had 15 staff who were on strike.
Oh,
on strike.
Okay.
And they had not notified me that they were going to go on strike.
Of course not.
But
that's scary.
I cannot imagine. I would never want to feel the way I felt that day. And I remember I called my friend. His name is Sam. And I told him, I don't know what to do. I just walked into an empty office.
So, oh wow. So Monday morning. You said Monday?
It was a Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
You go to work, the office is empty.
Yeah.
Are you thinking maybe they've stepped out, or they're out for meetings, or?
I think, let me tell you what happened.
How did
you ever seen someone whose car has been stolen? Have you ever seen? Exactly. You look for your car and the other people's cars.
Yes.
like you don't have because you're in shock.
Disoriented, yeah.
So you're disoriented. So I'm not thinking. So first of all, like you're like, okay, is this an apocalypse? Like, like where is everybody? Like, no, but I met people on the way. Like, you know, I'm like. It took me 10 minutes to figure out what is happening. So I called the first person, like, we're not coming to work. Yeah, our salaries have been delayed. I was like, okay, don't you think you should have notified me?
Yeah.
Because you see, one, my team primarily consists of HR practitioners.
Yes.
They know they're supposed to issue a strike notice.
So probably they're thinking you also did not notify us.
But for whatever reason, legally they're supposed to give me a notice.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I asked them, so don't you think you're supposed to give me a notice? They're like, yeah. So by afternoon,
that phone call
two had come back. By afternoon, two had come back when they realized, okay,
legally
I'm about to be
legally screwed.
But then at that point, I gave them the option of, no, listen, we will sort your dues out, but you have the option to resign. So it's either you're back by 2 or you have the option to resign.
The option to resign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I lost like 80% of my staff that day.
One sweep. What was happening? Why were their salaries delayed?
So you have been my client before. You know the corporates will try and pay you the latest date possible. And I think the person who explained that to me is my sister, who's also a finance consultant. And she explained, you know, for an accountant, it is beneficial to pay as late as possible. And make sure you collect as early as possible. So we are making money on paper,
but
we're not receiving cash.
That's what we're trained. I'm an accountant, and that's exactly what we do.
Yes.
Directors move countries. They catch flights. We have one signature. We tell that story over and over. We extend it.
Yeah, and they're taught in school how to lie.
But that's how. Yeah, that's what we are actually taught. Yeah. Make sure you get paid soonest possible, and you pay your suppliers latest possible. Unfortunately, I can confirm that.
Yeah,
it's an accountant.
So now the problem is if you're only dealing with large corporates, you're going to suffer. Okay, because you see, you have recurrent expenditure.
Yeah,
you have rent, you have employees you need to pay, you have other bills. If you have followed the corporate creep, you have a nice, beautiful office. You know, that has very many lights, so the electricity bill is up there.
Yes,
you know, you have very fast internet because you have a team full of. You understand what I'm saying? So it's very hard to maintain that lifestyle of the business while you're not receiving cash. So it's tough, and you have to make very tough decisions. Yeah, but I think for me it was a blessing in disguise. Why? Then I didn't have any lawsuits. They fired themselves.
Madam HR, what? Yes.
Yeah. So there was no redundancy, there was nothing. They left. Yeah. So sometimes when you're in that melting pot, you're very consumed.
Yes.
But when you're out of it, you're like, oh, okay, that was not so bad. Yeah.
So what happened to the service? The services that the company offers? Did that whole incident cripple the service?
No.
So would you say you were struggling to let them go?
And that's another thing that I have struggled with over the years. I have really struggled with letting people go. I have really, because I think, then where will they get another job? Not in this economy. Okay, but they've been so nice to me. They're my friends. They're my family.
Ride this wave together.
You know, because you spend so much time with your team,
you become friends.
You become family. Yeah. Because you spend most time on your working hours. Yeah. You spend that more than your children.
That's true.
More than your family. So they become part of you. So you don't want them to suffer. Even when the business is saying let's go.
Yes. Recurrent costs.
Recurrent costs.
Wow.
That's failure number one.
Failure number one.
Failure number two. COVID.
Then COVID happened. That's usually the statement.
Janta has a lot of HR business. HR related business. So there's recruitment, there's HR management, there's employee leasing, there's all those things that are dependent on businesses being alive and well and operational. So when everyone else is shutting down, that means the only business you have is helping companies scale down. And not too many people are looking to pay a consultant. At that time.
Because budgets are tight.
Yeah, budgets are very tight. And a lot of clients were closing also. I remember at that time we had only one client paying us monthly. Because they're in the food industry, they were selling bread, which was an essential service.
It was an essential service. They continued, probably even thrived.
Yeah. So we had to cut down a lot. We had to close office as well, go to working from home, etc., and we really had to scale down. And it was tough because it was a very scary time. You're not sure what will happen. You're not sure, okay, how am I going to meet salaries? How am I going to meet all these other things? And I think it helped us because at that time, of course, everyone was on half salary. We're like, okay, guys, we're going on half salary. So by the time now things are starting to come back, no one went back straight to full salary. They were like, okay, now we gave us an opportunity to renegotiate our contracts. And because you have cut people's salaries, at that point, you decide to get other jobs.
I see.
So while people are usually very stressed about exits, sometimes exits are good. Because they allow you to cut down costs.
On your recurring costs. So that was the blessing in disguise.
And also it helps you to rethink around roles and job description. Is this now useful for us or is it not useful for us anymore? You know, at that time, if you don't have people in the offices, then a salesperson who's going to door is no longer relevant.
That's true. It's interesting the way as an entrepreneur you go through like very tough season that forces you to rethink your business model. Because I feel like COVID did that for many businesses where where sometimes you didn't even think you could survive with such a lean team. And then you do, and then you're like, why do I need this many
people? You know? And you so it depends on also how you're hiring. And I think that's one of the things we'll discuss later. But in terms of, are you hiring because you have a need? Are you hiring because a role is needed? Are you tired of doing one job? Then you decide, okay, I need to hire this position. Is it an ego hire? You know? Because I know a lot of people who do ego hires. I want a PA. I want a PA because I don't want to be the one because of that. You know, because I need a PA. You know, everyone has a PA when they have a company. Even me, I want to say,
like, I don't want to come to the office in the morning and start making myself coffee. You want to find coffee and tea.
It's an ego hire. Can you not make your own coffee? Do you need someone to open your emails and read them? Is it a need? It's not a need. For many businesses, assistants are not a need.
They're not a need.
They're ego hires.
So let's go through now the list, because clearly, if those are just the top two, we can't even count all the failures that you have gone through. But I feel like we can come up with a list of what I have found to be true, myself and you, what I've found to be true in terms of like why businesses fail. I will start with the one that I think has followed me, because I feel like in entrepreneurship, if you don't learn a certain lesson once, the first time, it keeps coming back, and it will come back again until you're like, sour. I've learned my lesson. And sometimes you're not like quite aware of this less, how do I even put it? Like, you're not, what's the word? Conscious about learning this lesson, because you think it's just, you're not thinking it's something that you need to learn, but because you're not paying attention, it keeps coming back until you pay attention and address it.
Yeah.
So for me, that has been like, things don't go wrong, they start wrong. And if, let's say a couple of years back, if I had someone say that, I'd be like, what would you mean? Like, they start wrong how, you know? And I know there are many people in the audience who probably would be like, they start wrong how? And I used to listen to a lot of people talking about strategy and planning. And honest to God, I thought I was planning properly. And I thought I had a strategy. I had a strategy in place. Mm-hmm. But I think over time, the more that lesson has kept coming back and coming back, you know, like you plan better next time, and then you plan better, but hujafika, so it still keeps coming back and coming back. I don't know if it's something that you've experienced in terms of like planning and being strategic in how you start. Do you think that plays a key role in the success of some businesses and failure of others?
I would say it would be the number one reason why businesses fail.
Break it down for us.
So a strategy is not just a fancy document that you have and tell your colleagues that, you know, we have a strategic plan. I have seen strategic plans that are useless, that have been paid for millions, because no one had the intention of following it.
It's just a document scattering.
Yeah, so you first of all must have a meeting with yourself. Say you're a new entrepreneur, you're starting.
Yes.
And you figure, okay, so you hear people say they create a strategic plan.
Yes.
And I've written so many strategies.
Yes.
I can tell you maybe 30% are being followed. And I have clients who have no clue what we discussed. And you'll find them asking questions that are already in the document. So first, you must decide that you're going to do things right.
Not just have a document for the sake of
not just push things together and say, okay, I have this, okay, I have a salesperson, so now the business should come. You must first decide that you're going to do things right from the background.
Yeah.
Now, where most strategies fail is the lack of research. Because you're working with absolutely no data. So if you go to ChatGPT and tell it, write me a strategic plan for starting a hair salon, what does ChatGPT know about your market?
Not much.
Because the internet doesn't have enough data, especially if you're starting a business in Africa.
In Africa especially.
You understand? Yeah. So if you're starting a business in Africa, the internet does not carry enough data for ChatGPT to give
very true
the necessary information you need. You get what I'm saying? So if you're not willing to do the research, okay, because a lot of people will see, I think I'm going to do this. You start buying the stock. You start looking for an office. You start, looking for furniture.
It's usually excitement. It's
usually excitement. I want to go into this business.
Did you see Nani? It starts here. Most Kenyans. Did you see the way Nani started this business? She's making a lot of money.
I have people close and dear to me who tell me, so-and-so is making a lot of money from this business. And you're like, but that's not a reason for you to start it.
It's not.
What do you know about it? You know nothing.
Yeah.
So the problem with most plans is that they start with ignorance.
You're really shouting at me. And many others.
You understand? So you have no idea about the market. You don't know the size of the market. You don't know the niche that works. Because the people who sell shoes, there are those who are making money, there are those who are not.
There are those who are not.
You understand?
That's true.
So you have to understand the niche that sells. You have to understand who the customer is. Where the customer is. What they like, what they don't like. What they would prefer over the competition. Who are your competition? Who are the competitors? Yeah. So why am I changing? The thing people don't understand is, why am I changing the place I buy things from?
Yes,
there's a market for it, yes, but they're buying from somewhere.
They are.
Why are they changing?
Yeah.
What is it that you're bringing to the table that is going to make them change that decision?
Yes.
You understand? So a lot of plans start with ignorance.
If I tell you, I learned this lesson properly now. Like now, I was attentive. I was in class and I was listening carefully. I learned it last year, and that's like after 8 years of being in business, trying maybe 3 or 4 businesses.
Yeah.
I learned it properly last year. Yeah. Properly, and it's like when I learned it, it wasn't new. It wasn't like this is the first time I'm hearing it. I always knew it. All these things were not new, but they were not organized in my head or in my plan, and therefore you find there you're not being systematic in your approach.
I think it's one of those things we were discussing earlier. We're saying, it's something especially that comes with youth. It's arrogance.
It's arrogance.
It is arrogant to think that you will open a business and people will automatically want to buy from you. Yet you're not ready. You've not thought about why they should buy from you. Why are they moving from where they're buying things?
Because I know my stuff.
Yeah.
My product is good.
It's arrogance.
My product is good, Lucy. My product is... No one in this market has, better pencils than me.
Fantastic. But why am I buying from you?
I know.
Why? Because, listen, you could have the best pencils.
Yes.
Right? However, I buy my things from Textbook Center. I don't want to go shop to shop. Buying the geometrical set here, a ruler there, pencils here, pens here. I don't have that time.
Yes.
So you have to understand me first.
Yes.
The person who's buying.
Yeah.
What is it I need? Where am I buying from? How much do I earn? How much money do I have?
Yeah.
And starting a business without research is both stupid and arrogant.
Yes, that's true. You're just setting yourself up.
Yeah.
I'll tell you like an example of a butchery I ran. I ran a butchery business right after COVID, and in fact, when last year I learned about this, I felt like going back and hugging that girl who was running that butchery because I was just like, oh, you poor thing. We always think that hard work is what gets you there. But you could be working hard, but without a plan, it doesn't matter how hard you work. So like, for example, I had never quite sat down to think about the things that you're raising. And you're like, who are you serving? Why are they buying from you? If they're not buying from you, where are they buying from? What's their preference? What's their sort of the basket, the money they have to spend on stuff per month? How does that look like? Where are their priorities? Where do their kids go to school? Do they have lunch at school? Do they carry lunch? Those things I had never quite internalized or thought to like go into those details. And therefore, that girl running that butchery was always anxious. Because the thing about retail business is bills will come, and retail business has very high recurring bills. So you're speaking about electricity, and because you're using many fridges and the display fridges, so electricity is high. It used to come close to 100,000. So electricity is high. You have to look at your cash flow, so that then you always have product on the shelf. Then your rent is high depending on where you are. Then you also have staff salaries and blah 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 blah. So any misstep like this, that business, you're closed, like literally you'll be forced to shut down, because those are monthly bills that expect to be paid every other month. So I was always anxious about how can I increase the sales? So I had offers, and I had adverts, and I had are you seeing? But I'm working so hard. I was being ignorant. I never stopped and sit down. Sit down, come and think about this business. Think about it deeply. If I had gotten to that point, maybe I would have changed the trajectory of that business. And it gave me so much stress. I eventually sold it to someone, and I'm just like, guys, thank God. But yeah, so when we talk about a plan and a strategy, I think what you're saying resonates so deeply with me, and I know it resonates to so many other people, because you're always chasing the next coin, never quite stopping to do this. Something you ought to have done before. You start.
Before you start. And the sad thing is, and the challenge I have faced with the majority of the people we work with is they call me to do the strategy after the business is open. There are variables we now cannot change. We can't change how much rent you're paying. And because of how you structured your business, you've put a reception desk here. Then you have to have a receptionist.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Then you have to have this, and you've not really thought it through.
You haven't. Yeah.
You know? And it's sad because now you can see the challenges that are about to come. You know? I mean, and it's that much harder. And honestly, and let me not discount, there are people who have sheer luck. And there are people who have sheer luck, and they go into it arrogantly and they make it.
Somehow they figure it out. But they are the minority.
They're the minority, and most of the time they are very liquid. They are either being bankrolled by somebody
else,
or they have money from something else. So usually they're very liquid, so they have the money to turn things around pretty quickly.
And make mistakes and recover from them.
Them. So now you have a client who can come and we say, okay, now let's do a new strategy. Okay, we are now restructuring. Okay, now we are creating processes for your business. Okay, and they have money to pay for it. But you who is bootstrapping for everything, you don't have that kind of wiggle room.
You don't have that kind of wiggle room. So I would say that's like my number one. Things don't fail; they start wrong. So if you're there and you're thinking about, a business idea, start by speaking, number one, to someone who has built something that has been on the journey you're about to embark on, or get a consultant like Lucy to help you out. What's your second one? That was mine, and
I will say mismanagement.
Mismanagement.
And for me, I would say mismanagement is very broad. So let's call mismanagement of resources. Okay. One, mismanagement of your finances. One of the first things I tell my client, before we proceed, you must hire an accountant. An accountant you can't respect, not one who says yes to you.
One you can respect.
Yes. Because if you have the kind of accountants I see here being paid 5K, 10K a month, what is he going to do for you?
They're doing bookkeeping.
They're doing bookkeeping for you.
So what you're recommending is not a bookkeeper.
You have to get an accountant. One who will control your money.
Yes.
Who you will be accountable to in terms of, I'm spending this amount of money. For what? Is it business money?
Yes.
Is it my own money? Is it director's drawings?
Yes.
Right?
What is it?
Well, you see, because financial management is so broad, and I think maybe one of these days we'll do a whole session on it. Because one, you're looking at not only, the first thing you think about is, I'm eating my business's money. Some people are not. It's a big issue. Many people do it, but some people are not. They're buying stock on a whim. They have they are not collecting data on stock movement. So they're like, there's this new style of shoes that's coming out. We need to buy the stock before anyone else buys it.
Yes.
Hii stock imekaa sana. We need to buy.
I'll give you an example that happened to me. That happened to me. This butchery business again. So we used to sell a lot of chicken, and I acquired I bought the business. I didn't start it from scratch.
Yeah.
So our first December, I was advised Christmas watu wananunua nyama mob.
So you bought chickens.
I bought chickens upon chickens, many kilos. Because 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 4 days. Because the supplier was reopening on 27th. So I needed stock.
Yeah.
And I had projections. Now you've not failed properly until like umenunua stock na ni perishable. Now those are premium tears.
Yeah.
Dust.
Dust. Let me tell you.
Oh, it was so painful. That Christmas, I was so stressed. And I don't have enough. I didn't have, I had chiller storage, not freezer.
Storage. Oh my God.
Yeah. Back to your story.
And you see, that's another thing.
Yes.
You must ask yourself 1,000 questions before you buy someone's business. If there's anything I don't advocate for, it's buying somebody's business because you do not know why.
Yes.
And they will cook books for you. And they'll tell you, I'm leaving the country. That's why I'm closing. They're in Kenya. Don't buy.
They're selling their problems.
They're selling their problems. Like you sold it to somebody else.
Huh?
So that's another thing. So financial mismanagement is not just eating the businesses. It's making poor decisions.
Yeah.
Decisions that have no backing in terms of information. You have no data you've collected to make projections. You have nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, funny thing is you are fantastic at finance. This is something you already knew, but you did not do.
You know that thing ya mganga ajigangi? Unajipatanga inside, then you suddenly forget the things you should be actually focusing on.
It's a pressure.
And the pressure.
Yeah. So financial mismanagement is just not managing your money well. Managing your money to the point where you're able to plan to adequately either price your products. You're not pricing your products correctly. There's no data to tell you how much money you should make into the afloat.
Yeah.
So that your sales figure, you've come up with them from your head. I think I can make 600,000 here. This can
most
bring
people
2 million
based on what other people are pricing. I think that's the most common one I've seen.
Yes.
Or Lucy is pricing her service at 10,000.
Yeah.
So depending on where I place Lucy, I could go slightly above or slightly below.
Exactly.
That's what I see most people do.
And if you've not factored in your indirect expenses, you've not factored in your variable costs, you've not factored in even the direct ones, and you've not factored in the profit you need to make so that you can repurchase stock.
Yes.
Because we don't usually factor in the money you need
and
to
the time. And the time the stock it takes
to get the stock.
To get not even the lead time, the time it takes to convert this stock to cash. Yeah, because that is holding your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you, you have a team, like for me, a whole team of people who are doing the job that I've hired because I'm thinking, okay, we have so many clients, we have so many jobs, we need to hire this so we have capacity. I'm not factoring in how long it takes for them to pay.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So those are the things that I find the mistakes that we make when we go into business. Financial mismanagement. And there's a whole lot of other things. There is people mismanagement. Right? And why is people so important? People is, in most businesses, is the highest operating expense in most businesses. It only competes with rent for smaller businesses.
For smaller businesses, in most it's higher.
It's usually way higher. Now, am I saying being nice to your employees? No. But you have to follow the law. Because breaking the law when it comes to employees is very costly.
Punitive.
It's very punitive. 2, you lose a lot of money rehiring for some positions.
Yes.
Because it costs you money to recruit, it costs you money to train, and the lead time for when that person is able to do the job the previous person had It's like 3-6 months where you're not able to operate at capacity.
Yes. Correct.
Right?
Costly.
If your team does not have job descriptions, this is bare minimum.
Oh,
bare minimum.
Yes.
They don't have job descriptions. They don't have key performance indicators. They don't have standard operating procedures. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They have no way to evaluate whether your employees are working or not. So
that is critical.
If you're not measuring the cost of having that employee vis-a-vis the resource they're bringing, the
Yes.
revenue they're bringing in.
Yes.
If you're not sure how much you're making with every employee,
yes,
you're going to lose.
You're going to lose. And I think for me, the big one on that list is standard operating procedures. All are important, but I think that's especially a big one because how is it as the business owner, I'm giving you a job and I'm not directing you on how I need or I want that job to be executed. So you're going to execute it anyhow. I've seen that many entrepreneurs do that. Then they come back and they're like, no, you're not doing the right thing. And they fire and hire again.
Yeah.
But then they continue to do that without actually offering guidance. And even worse, the owner of the business, actually, the thing they're hiring for, they don't even know how it's done. Now, that's where now I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Let me start with, first of all, before we deal with emotional entrepreneurs or emotional employers, let's start with the fact that even the standard operating procedures, aside from just teaching people how they're supposed to be doing it, after you've had your strategic plan, your next step should be developing your processes.
Yes.
Because the process is supposed to be the one executing the strategy.
The strategy.
Because a lot of us have these beautiful documents, but then we don't know how to implement it. That is the process that implements the strategy.
It's not broken down into steps and key activities that then lead to.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because how do you develop a KPI? A KPI comes from processes.
That's true.
Because a process is what will tell you. For example, if you have a salesperson and at the top there, your monthly target for your business is 50 million. Okay? And you have one salesperson. Is this one salesperson is supposed to execute that target? And what is it that they're supposed to be doing to execute it?
To execute it. The how.
What is the how?
Yeah.
And is it adequate? Because as you're developing the process, it will be very apparent.
Yes. That this is not adequate.
Because that's why we say, even for HR, usually I don't like doing HR before processes are done. Because what am I coming to do for your business?
It's not clear.
How are we deciding what your business needs?
It's not clear.
It comes from the process.
Yes.
The process will define you need a salesperson, but you don't need a field salesperson. You need a telesalesperson. They're sufficient. Or you need a field salesperson, or the field salesperson needs a sales administrator because of the activities that need to happen to execute the strategy. Now, from the process is when now you will now build other frameworks.
Yes.
You will have a KPI framework. You will have a performance management. From which now you can now have a HR to come and execute.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because now HR is now holding the employees accountable for what is on the documents and the processes, the SOPs and all that.
Yeah.
And the KPIs that come with that. But now you go to the internet, Google this position, draw up a JD, and then Google again or ask ChatGPT, give me KPIs for this position.
For a butchery business, give me KPIs.
KPIs for a butchery business. You have not broken it down to see, okay, you have how many butchers in your whatever.
Yeah.
How many kilos of meat are you processing? How many people does it take to process this amount of meat? How are we breaking down the roles so that everyone is efficient? Or is everyone handling their own animal as they come in?
Yes.
Or every carcass that's coming, me, I'm handling this carcass, you're handling the other carcass.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And every business has the capability of doing that, even if it's at a small scale.
Even if it's a small one. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Back to the butchery business, I think when it comes to SOPs, there I did well. And I believe it is how I was able to sell it.
Yeah.
if I had not done that, just that one thing, right? Because there are many things I did wrong, but that one I got right. But because now it was standardized, even the person who came to buy it, they could see what was happening. They could see all the processes. They could see where all the money went, because also that's part of a process. How do you get paid? Once you're paid, what happens to the money? You know, where do you bank it? And most people don't bank and stuff like that. And so everything could be traced.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, it's higher up when it comes to managing even a small business, because that was not it wasn't a big business, it was a very small one. Yeah.
And you see, with that, it helps. It actually, I mean, most entrepreneurs, if you are working with me, the first thing I tell you is to get an accountant.
Get an accountant.
The second one I tell you is to get a therapist.
Are we done with? We'll come back to
we're going back there
to the therapist.
Because if you're making emotional decisions around people, like I will tell you this, I have clients who will be like, I'm introverted as an individual, and the people I don't particularly like in my business.
I see.
Not because they're not performing, but because our personalities clash.
I see.
So, but you're not thinking, is this person delivering? No. I just don't like them. It's my business. I should decide who stays and who goes.
Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I?
Remember, the business is its own legal personality. You are an individual on your own.
On your own.
You take your emotions home.
Just yesterday, I was having this very conversation with a friend of mine who started a spa business, and she's just hired, and we were talking, and she's like, there's a lady I interviewed. She was very good, very qualified, but I didn't feel like we
gelled.
Those are the people you're calling emotional entrepreneurs. If she's watching this. So I feel like we all suffer from that. Probably even me at some point, a couple of times maybe. But how do you detach, especially when you're like a small business? Sometimes it is just you and that employee.
The only reason why you should not hire someone because of gelling is where group synergy is important for client delivery. That's the only time.
I'm learning.
You get what I'm saying? But you need to hire the best you can afford.
The best you can afford.
If
you don't do that, you're doing your business a disservice.
Doing your business a disservice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow, no one has ever told me that. I've never even seen it in that.
Because, listen, all of us have had is that if you're the smartest person in your business,
yes,
you will shut down.
You will.
Either you as an individual will shut down, or the business will shut down.
Or the business will shut down.
Yeah. Because you're doing the thinking for everybody.
Yes. Yes.
You understand? So you need to hire the best and for all the things that you're doing.
Interesting.
So it has nothing to do with you. You have to remember it has nothing to do with you.
But it's my business.
If you own it, you are a shareholder. Let me ask you, do you think, for example, today when you're going for a Safaricom AGM, the shareholders are like, oh, we don't like the CEO, we don't jail.
Obviously not. Obviously not.
Of course not.
Yeah. Is he performing?
Is he performing? That's what matters.
Is he performing?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. People management. Emotional entrepreneur. So we find a therapist. If you can afford it. As soon as you find yourself an accountant, find yourself a therapist. Because all of us are in therapy. Because we don't want to bring our issues into the business. Right. Oh, yeah. I was going to ask, why do I need a therapist? So that I don't bring my issues. Don't bring your issues into the business. Because how many people you've been employed before? Yeah. How many times has a boss come in and been completely irrational?
And you can't figure it, and it has nothing to do with your work, has nothing to do with your performance, has nothing to do with anything that has happened in the office.
Yes, they're just in a bad mood, foul mood.
Remember, employees leave people. They don't leave jobs.
They don't leave jobs. They don't leave jobs. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're aware that this is my style, your business will remain as small as you. Yeah. If your personality and your emotional issues, or your emotional incompetence, or your lack of emotional intelligence is being displayed in your business, your business cannot grow.
That's so true. Yes. Your business will grow in tandem with your personal growth.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Wow. Therapist, add it to your list. I've not seen my therapist in a year. Maybe it's time.
It's time. Just say hello. How are you doing?
Catch up. Yes. So we're looking at financial mismanagement, people mismanagement, and the third one. I think you'd say is a third one.
The third one I have found is, so you have a vision, you have processes working, you have everything going for you. If you're not moving with the times, you will lose. If your business is not continuously evolving, if you don't know what your competitors are doing continuously, if you don't have risk analysis being done in your business, if you don't know how the market is going, if your business is not currently using AI by now, you're going to shut down. And we have huge examples. We know how Nokia collapsed. We know how BlackBerry collapsed. Kodak collapsed. You understand? They had everything we have here that we've discussed.
Yes.
But they just did not move as quickly.
For a small business owner, I feel like sometimes when you give examples like Kodak, I feel like that's where maybe they lose you in translation, I would say.
Maybe because we are older, so we know who Kodak used to be.
Okay, maybe even like a younger, youthful business would be a good example. But anyway, what I meant was like they're not able to mirror, to relate.
Let me maybe explain it without an example. Customers' needs are continuously evolving. Customer needs are continuously changing.
Yes.
That's all you need to know. Okay?
Yes.
Today you're running a pub or a bar or a club. It's new, your customers will come because it's a new thing in town. Isn't it? After that, they'll be looking for the next new thing. So customers and human beings are wired to want new things, to want the latest things.
Yes.
They're continuously fighting for status and all those things.
Yes.
So if you're offering the same thing the same way every day, you will lose.
That's true.
So your business must continuously evolve. It must continuously innovate. It must continuously change. Because if you're not changing, then that means you're not adapting to your environment.
You're not adapting to the environment. Because
things change. Today, there are so many costs that come into running a business. The taxes have changed. The tax regime in itself has changed. The things we are being taxed for now, we were not being taxed for before. You understand? The industries, the way they have been operating has changed. The needs based on even just the environment we are in. If you're not trying to cut your costs down, you're going to close.
I hear you.
So you have, as a business, have to figure out how do I best deliver the best service or product to my customer at the least cost possible. Best service, least cost. I would say maybe like if I were to give like an example, when you talk about customers' needs evolving, I'm looking at just the evolution of e-commerce. Like when I think about it, we moved from brick and mortar to e-commerce. Then now e-commerce is evolving to AI powered, where you can actually buy from your
WhatsApp. I don't need to actually go to any website. I can just dial in and buy whatever and check out like on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And like if you look at many businesses that have adapted as the customer's needs have evolved, those are the businesses that are growing. Whilst we still have some who are yet to get to e-commerce that are struggling probably getting new customers. And
most businesses will struggle with the mindset of the entrepreneur. If you've been running a business 30 years, it's hard to teach you anything. Understand? Like, I've been running this business for 30 years.
Yes.
What is it that you can teach me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you, as an entrepreneur, how do you cover yourself? How do you, because it's almost like these things are like eventually, it's like eventually you're gonna fail. It's starting to sound like that, like eventually somehow you're gonna fail. For example, like this, a 30-year-old, and I've seen many businesses, let's say, that have been passed on to generations, and then in the recent times, just a youthful person has been working there. He's been trying to tell guys, hey, we need to do this, nobody's listening to him. He just goes, branches off, starts his own. Suddenly he's your biggest competitor, and he's killing it. And I think with AI and with technology, you're able to like really grow a business quick, fast. I've seen that happen. So like, I don't know, what do you say to those entrepreneurs?
You see, the reason why strategic plans are done every year is it gives you an opportunity to reevaluate. Because before you do the strategic plan, you evaluate the year before. But even with the new strategic plan, you must reevaluate your processes. Hold on, I'll tell you where I'm going there. You must reevaluate your processes if they're fit for the new strategy.
If they're fit for the new strategy.
That's why they must always be revised.
You can't have
processes that are old.
A new strategy with old processes.
Exactly. So you must review your processes. Where am I going at this? When you do eventually do your job descriptions, you must have new job descriptions for even the CEO. Updated. So now, is the CEO's new JD fit for the person who's holding, for the incumbent?
Oh, that's how you get fired and you're the director. That's how you fire yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how you fire yourself.
Yes.
Because you must get to a point where the CEO's JD and you have a talk. You're like, I don't think I'm this person.
Yeah.
So you hire that person and you step back and become a shareholder.
That's not easy to do, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Again, we are ego-driven.
It's not. You're shouting. Take it easy, please.
But if you don't want to fire yourself, the JD will come with what this person is doing. So you as an entrepreneur must also continuously learn. You can't sit with the information you know. You must be hungry and curious.
Yes.
You must be continuously curious so that you're continuously learning.
Yes.
So that you're fit for the role,
as you go along. Shoo. Wow. That's a lot to think about. Not easy to do. Definitely not easy.
Because it requires a lot of introspection.
Yeah.
And this is why you need your therapist. Because by then you'll have grown emotionally enough to know that this is what the personal attack.
It's okay. It's not me they're looking for. They're looking for someone else. I can no longer feel that role.
Yes.
Oh, I see the role of a therapist now.
Let me tell you, there's, I don't know if you've heard the story of Netflix. The CEO, so they were partners. Then the first CEO, we grew the business to a certain level. I think he ran it for like 2-3 years or something like that. But because he was a creative, he was all over the place. He was not able to manage. He did grow the business.
Yeah.
But he was not able to manage it for the next level it was going. So the partner quit his job and told him, I'm firing your CEO. I'm going to move it to operations. And that's why Netflix is where it is today.
Logically speaking, Lucy,
Yes.
are Kenyans, like, are we emotionally mature?
No.
I was gonna ask where this has happened. I
feel
happened
like
because
culturally, and I'm not saying we're not as smart as they are, but we're not as developed. And this is where
emotionally
the thing of being in a developed country comes from. Because you see, it's not just that the country has bigger buildings or it has more money. For the country to have that kind of money, the economy is being fueled by businesses that make crazy money.
Yes.
That's why even when you're looking at podcasts of people who are in those countries, like
they're different.
The money they're making is just
crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's because the economies can support that kind of business.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
But then the level of business they're playing at, we are not there yet. That's why you see so many startups failing. They bring in a CEO from elsewhere, but we are not there yet.
Basic partnerships aren't working.
They are not, because
it's so hard. It's so hard. Like, I am yet to meet a business partnership from, like, us that started as a startup and now they are, let's say, 10 years in, they've, quadrupled, multipled their growth, and now they're a big company and they're still partners. And I'll tell you what it is. There are many.
No, I'll tell you what it is. Culturally, I think we are greedy people.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because even as an entrepreneur, when you're starting a business, you're trying to make as much money for yourself. As possible. Not for the business.
Not for the business, for me.
For me.
And
if you look at businesses that have grown, like people who are now multi-billionaires.
Yeah.
Like, look at Amazon, for example. They started selling books, isn't it? They didn't make a profit for almost 20 years.
Yes, for a very long time.
Yeah, and they just kept pushing back the money into the business, and they were ready. And he was very happy to sell part of his shareholding so that he can grow the business.
Yes,
and he can add more capital to the business.
Yeah,
and grow it. And he's happy to take less.
Yes.
Ask anyone if they're willing to give up more than 50% of shareholders in this country. So shareholding. No, and they want control.
They want control.
It's an ego thing.
The moment they get the money, they want first to pocket first.
Exactly.
Before they actually,
It's and the money. Equity is money coming to the business.
Yes.
Not to the
entrepreneur. Yes. Yes. They want to take as much money, and it's almost like the vision is instantly lost. First, let me make some money.
Yeah.
I've
suffered for long. Let me buy my German machine.
Because I'm listening to you, I'm just like, I mean, it sounds like the right thing to do, but
we are not ready.
We are not ready.
And I'll tell you the things we suffer from.
Most of us are not ready for that.
We are not ready for that conversation. We are not ready to do the kind of work it takes. We are not ready to put in the hours. We want to be bosses. We don't want to be workers in that organization. We want other people. How many times have I met an entrepreneur telling me, I can't hire someone to do that? Me, I can't do social media. Me, I can't do sales. I don't want to do that. Because why can't I hire someone to do that?
Those are conversations I have with entrepreneurs every day, all day.
Exactly. We are not ready.
Actually don't like work.
We don't.
We were having this conversation with Leon just before you came in.
Yeah.
And we're like, we want the money, we want the fame, and we want the big cars. But work, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And building a business that will outlive you takes years.
Years.
Of hard back-breaking work.
Hey. Back-breaking work.
There's one day you'll be like, client gives you money, like, pours into your business like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Last one before we close, because I think this is really important. For a very long time, and I don't know, I look at it from I think being an accountant and having an accountant's background really was not an added advantage on this end. Because, you're too technical. You're looking at numbers for what numbers are. You've never sold anything. The most conversation I'd have is with Lucy when I'm telling her, check is not ready. Like, we are not great at people skills. So even networking and, things like those, I had to teach myself. I didn't know them. Even after I had been employed for those many years. I didn't have people skills. I didn't have sales skills. Both of which are very, very, very important for an entrepreneur. So for me, my journey has been painful. And therefore, sales has been the hardest thing for me to figure out. The more I interact with other entrepreneurs, I realize I'm actually not alone. If I could go back in my 20s, I'd take a sales job. I would. That's like, like a very good, like, what could you change? I would take a sales job in my 20s. I think it would have made me an even better entrepreneur. But anyway, here we are. So sales is something most people struggle with, and I can resonate. Can you talk to us a little about sales? Because I feel like, first of all, there are all these other problems, but when you have sales, you have time and a bit of freedom. You can take your time to figure them out. But if you don't have sales, and you find yourself with all these other problems that we talked about, then you are in deep shit. So how that as one of the reasons why businesses fail? Maybe, I don't know what you have.
No, I think, let me start with, first of all, I was very lucky. That one of my first jobs was the first 3-4 jobs.
Very lucky.
Very, very lucky. Fortunate. And no one could understand in my family because I'm an advocate. So they were not understanding why.
You're an advocate?
I am an advocate.
What?
Yes. So no one in my family understood that career change. And
I did. Did I know that? I did not know that.
Most people don't. Because it's just...
I did not know that. Yeah. Take us through that transition. Advocate,
no, actually, the way you're young and stupid and, after school, you're like, okay, I need a job. Because in my family, they don't hold your hand after that. You're done with your degree, you're self-sufficient now. I have educated you.
Yes.
Now you go make your own money.
Yes.
So I think the first easy job for me, because I think because of being an advocate, I could speak pretty well. And because they were hiring people straight from campus, ABSA, they were not Barclays then. So long as you could speak well, they would hire you.
They'd hire you. Yeah.
But then they would train you into what they wanted. And which is what I really respect to this date. Because they really did put in a lot of resources to ensure you represented the bank well. You knew what to do. Even when a client is rude to you, you knew what to say and how to react. They even taught you how to regulate your emotions. So it was very, very critical, and I don't see a lot of people doing it. Now, back to sales. Sales is the reason you're in business. It's not to have an office. It's not to say I'm an entrepreneur now. I see people saying on their profiles, they are... what's this word? They call it...
Go easy. Go easy on us.
There's a word, they say something entrepreneur. I'll figure it out.
Which one? Self-made?
No. It's like when you have very many businesses that you're starting. Serial entrepreneur. Which is, I think for me, is like, why would I want to tell people I'm a serial entrepreneur?
Serial entrepreneur.
It's not a good thing.
It's not.
So number one, the reason you're in business is to make money. What brings the revenue at the top of the P&L is sales.
It's sales.
Right?
Yeah.
Sales coupled with marketing. So the first thing you should figure out, after you figure out, okay, I'm going into this business. I've done my research, I think I can make some money.
Yes.
First thing you need to figure out is where am I getting the customers from? Right? So the biggest mistake I see with almost all entrepreneurs, they do not think about their sales, who's going to bring in the sales. Marketing is a problem. Marketing is, you have to pull teeth to tell them, you need a marketing budget. People are not going to just walk into their business. They don't know who you are.
Okay, so Let me tetea them. I'm not teteaing them. I'm just sort of, let me try sort of paint a picture of where I have been and why I was there, and now I've seen the light, and now I hope you do too. So usually when you're starting, first of all, our education system trains us to become employees, not entrepreneurs. So already, by the time you're done with school, you're ripe for the job market, not to innovate, right? So already there's an issue there. So you're on your own, basically. If you're not a reader, if you're not a curious mind, if you're not picking on this information by yourself as you go along, or like you're not observant about what other people are doing and how they're doing, and you think that, usually you feel that if the product is good, if I get the product, like my product is good, why would people buy?
But they need to know.
Why?
They need to know your product is good. See, that's where you don't stop there. They need to know.
Nicole said, my product is fantastic.
Amen.
It's good.
And they're happy. It's good.
Then it hits you that, yes, your product is good, but people buy the product that's known.
Essentially, they just need to know that you have the product.
It could be good, better than all of them, but if it's not the most known, the known one takes the day.
And you know what I love about the times we are in, and this is just one of my favorite things. I think we even mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
There's what a time to be alive, where you don't need an entire marketing department to reach your customers. That you're working in a time, or you're running a business in a time where you can pick your phone and talk to complete strangers.
Yes.
And tell them about
your product and your business.
You understand? If you have decided this is the path I'm going, and you've realized, okay, I'm not really good at this, then run quickly. Because haitaki uzembe.
Haitaki uzembe. So true.
You have to learn very fast.
Yeah.
Because one, you're living in a time where you don't have to spend so much money to market your business. And then when we're talking about sales, we're not just talking about the transaction. You get, if you have a shop and the guy at the shop is rude, fire him. Don't have discussions. You understand? Those are non-negotiable.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Because in-store sales,
you
have to look at the person who's serving them, the customer, if they're able to have good customer service, if they're able to upsell, if they're able to cross-sell.
What is upsell and cross-selling for somebody who doesn't know?
So, for someone who doesn't understand, is if I've come in and I'm buying a toothbrush, right? You were able to sell me toothpaste. You understand? You were able to sell me floss, mouthwash. You understand?
I hear you. Yeah.
That's how you upsell. So if I've come in planning to spend 500 shillings and leave there having spent 3,000.
3,000 more.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the ticket size will matter. So it doesn't. It's not just how many times I'm coming into your shop.
Yes.
It's also how much
I'm spending whilst I'm at your shop. Yes.
Yeah. So there are a lot of,
and there's also retention.
And that I want to come back to say. So that it's very important that I'm treated very well. I feel very good when I'm coming to your shop. I mean, and that's why you see supermarket will invest in piped music and AC, so that when you're there,
in the morning supermarkets, it's just jazz.
You know, it's just
very
jazz,
nice music, so that you spend, you're not in a rush.
That they will validate your parking. You understand?
Yes.
It's important that you enjoy spending time there.
Yeah.
And I've seen Carrefour, they've even introduced play areas for children.
apparently in the evening it's boom boom 12, so that you quickly traffic.
Yeah, because everyone is there.
Traffic is on. Yeah.
So you have to really think about, and sales is a whole other topic that we can think about. But what you need to remember as an entrepreneur, at the top, doesn't matter what you do.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It won't matter. It won't matter. Oh my gosh. So a mistake I've done in the past. I see. Gosh. And to imagine, I had your number and did not call you. So I quickly learned earlier on. I'm like, this sales thing, it makes me so uncomfortable. You know, like I it's not natural, right? Because I'm from employment and I was an accountant, and now I'm having to sell and speak to people. It doesn't come natural to me yet. And so I was thinking, I thought to hire. Why not hire? There are many salespeople who can take this headache away from me. And so I hired. I was running a software sales company. Yeah. And so I hired this salesperson. And because I'm still starting, I can't afford the best of the best, you know, obviously. So I hire within, not very bad, but you know. So they have about 2 years experience. Can't remember if they had experience selling software. I think even my process for hiring was just, so anyway, they come. And because I actually don't know how it is done, I'm expecting them to do it and and give me results. Just do your job, sell. If you know how to sell, go. Like I offered them zero guidance. Those SOPs you're talking about, the processes. Like, where would I get the process from? I have no idea how this thing is done. Yeah. And I didn't ask for mentorship. I didn't ask for anything, for any help, I mean. And so today I meet so many entrepreneurs like me who they're like, I have a gap here. I just hire someone to come and do it. I don't need to know how it's done. I just need it done. Would you advise? And if, let's say, yes, they're hiring, how should they go about it? Because definitely, you can imagine the results. Catastrophic. I paid salaries until I ran out of money. And now we had to part ways. Which was so sad.
It is. It's even sadder when you have to close the business because of such things.
Had to close my nice office.
And yeah, that's another problem. They start with the office first before they
I think I've made every mistake you can think of.
I think it is my conviction that you must understand everybody's job. You might not be the best at it, but you must understand it. Because how do you evaluate someone whose job you don't understand? How will you know? Like, I find it very interesting, and we see this in HR a lot.
Yeah,
that they hire a HR manager, and they themselves have no clue what HR is. So they assume HR is payroll, managing payroll,
and hiring these employees. I don't want them calling.
They don't want to call. Exactly. These employees are calling me and they're disturbing me. I don't want to deal with them. You deal with them. Yes. Until you're hit with a class action suit.
Yeah.
And the cost shuts down your business. I have a client who was shut down by employees.
No way.
And a business that was doing sales of about 8 million a day.
A day?
Yes.
What?
They were shut down by employees.
8 million Kenyan shillings?
Exactly.
Per day?
Per day. In cash. Not then cash.
What?
The latest they would receive cash is the next day.
Wow. What happened with the employee?
They were mismanaged. You know, we were even handling the HR. But we would try and put things in place. And the boss comes and says, how this is what we are going to do.
He ought to have fired himself.
I told him, you're going to close this business. I told him. One day he called me at 6 a.m. in tears. And it's hard to listen to a man cry. He told me, this business is driving me insane. I said, yeah, and you're going to close. He didn't last 6 months after that.
Oh my gosh.
And when I went to knock, I said, and I told you you're going to close. He said, you told me. He just didn't listen.
Ouch.
You can't mismanage your team. You can't assume that I've hired this person, so that role is taken care of. I've hired an accountant, then that is taken. He will steal from you. Gosh. You can't hire a salesperson and you don't know how to sell. They'll come back and tell you they were too expensive.
Yeah, they used to walikuwa wanaenda tu mrando.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Anasema watu wanasema hiyo.
Anakuja alafu anasema, tomorrow I'm not coming to the office. These are the places I'm visiting.
Exactly.
And they are forever visiting and not bringing anything.
And if you've never done sales yourself, you will not know.
I don't know. I didn't know.
But if you have done sales yourself,
yes,
you will catch
the light. Today will be different.
Yeah.
Today will be very different.
Yeah. You can't not understand what your employees do.
Everything.
There's a reason why, and I will say this happens in the Asian community. Your son begins working from the loading zone when they're 18. MD. They start from there. So they understand every department, and they're promoted as they go. Yes. By the time he's 35, that's when he's being given the MD title. Or 40.
Yeah.
When they're still young enough to have new ideas, they're old enough to
in understand. The US, the UK, Harvard, Nini.
Yeah.
Then you come and you're given CEO.
Yeah. Those guys, by the time they're taking you to the UK,
clue what is happening.
Exactly. By the time they're taking you to the UK, you already know.
You're a loader. You've been loading.
They've been loading since they were 15, 16.
Yes. So true.
There's nothing they don't know in that business.
Oh my gosh. So you must understand. I agree with you. The fact that I didn't understand how sales is done, I was in no capacity.
And I think that's the one thing we need to clarify. What is the CEO's biggest job? Sales. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to be the biggest
salesperson. I didn't know that. I thought my biggest job is to find a fantastic product for my customer.
The job description for all companies for CEO is that they're the biggest sales person.
I agree with you.
And it's the one job that is straight from the lowest sales. In fact, that's what we used to be told when we were in banking.
Yes.
It's the one job that has a straight line to the CEO.
Is sales. This was very heavy. I've relived some traumatic experiences, but I think it's been like an informative session. If you don't know these things, because I think mine was try and error, try fail, try again. But there are people who are not as resilient. Where do you learn this? Because it's not business school, I don't think. Unless I slept my way through, because I have a CPAK and I have a degree.
And I don't even think they teach it in actual business
school.
I think the best way is to learn from people who've been there.
Yeah.
And if you can't find, there are plenty online.
Follow my channel.
There are plenty online of people who, and I think the one thing that should be a take home for you, or for any entrepreneur who's learning, is you must be curious.
You must be curious.
I agree with you. If you forget everything else we've discussed,
you must be curious.
You must be curious.
Yeah. Because it's the only way you're going to grow your muscle, your brain into absorbing, lessons, even if you're not the one going through them. Like I can observe Lucy and be like, oh,
yeah,
I think I know where Lucy went wrong,
Yeah.
Come look at my business, see if I'm making the same mistake, make changes if I need to, see opportunity because you're curious about what is happening. There are people who've not experienced AI. They don't even know what it is. They've not used it at all, never heard of it, obviously, because they're not curious, because everyone on the internet is talking about AI. So I agree with you. Wow, this was amazing. Amazing. I hope my audience has not been too triggered.
So,
you know, as you were speaking, I was just like, hey, women, feel like I'm Bali, and you know, those wounds have, you know, it's taken me a long time.
I'm so sorry.
But you know, I'm so happy I could have this conversation with you. I think even if I sat here and told the story, I think you would not have brought out just this is, you know, like it's almost you were seated there and telling me, and this is why that failed. This is why that failed. This is why that failed. And then, you know, the saddest thing, you don't learn all these lessons at once. You learn them in bits and pieces, and it's almost like they break you. They keep breaking your spirit. But I guess that's why they say there's a video I was listening to, and what did that guy say? He talked about, it's not about who, it's about outlasting the competition. What's the word they used?
I think, you have to outlast the competition.
Basically, like
you have to outlive them.
Outlive them. It's about outliving your competition. Like basically, you're so resilient in your in your approach. At the end, you're just gonna win. You know, like oh man. But I hope that these conversations will help. And you know, you're not too worn out by the time you're getting to that point. I don't know if you had any last words.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
That's the only thing.
Period. I agree with you. Wow. Thank you, Lucy. This was nice. I can't wait for the next conversation. Guys, let me tell you what we'll be talking about. Another triggering one. We're talking about what are the warning signs that there is impending doom.
The red flags.
Yes. So basically, technically, what are the red flags that the end is upon you, is upon us, is coming? I think that will be another triggering one. So we'll take a small break, catch the next episode. Thank you so much, Lucy. This was really, really nice. We'll definitely make this a series. Most definitely. Do you agree?
I agree.
You agree? Awesome. All right. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.